No post, no hammer. A drive. Hope you drive some.
I mean, we did. We split. Even so, it's a long drive just sitting in the car. It's like an hour. It's like it takes an hour and a half to get there. An hour and a half back.
Okay.
And I couldn't even get the lighting in this room. Is all wrong. So that's why it's so dark. I didn't have enough.
I'll get you a disco ball. How about that?
There's enough lighting in the room. It's just the tapestry's not up correctly.
We'll get you that those cheap dollar store LED lights that shoots like star lasers in the back of your tapestry.
All right. Well, tell me when we're going live.
We're live. I said we're live. That's why I didn't say particular's name.
What you need to do? You need to do a
countdown,
like a countdown to going live. So you just
can't just bring it on.
Yeah, you just. Well, no, I'm saying like even in general, you just don't spontaneously go live on a channel.
I said we're live, and you just kept talking.
No, I understand, but at the same time, like if you look at channel, like look at Dark Titan, Enterprise, it's all done by countdown.
I only watch it for Robert.
No, everything on the channel, all live streams are done by countdown.
Yeah. Next time, you're not gonna go riled up about it because I know you're all pissed off about this early morning.
What happened?
The guy lost on purpose. And
No. Maru lost. Yeah. So they both could have lost on purpose. And this is what's going on. And it really pisses me off. Look, Terran has some mechanical problems in the game, and Blizzard's just not rebalancing the game to fix Terran for StarCraft 2. They're not. And a lot of these pro players, these Terran players, who literally, if they played Protoss, because these players are so good, if they played Protoss, they'd never lose. They would destroy everyone. The reason why they win all the time with Terran is not because Terran is good, but because they're good, and it doesn't matter what they play, they will win.
Yeah, I think while looking at the last two matches, he's just basically just giving it to them. There's so many flaws in it. I've watched. I'm like, why is he letting Classic win? I just don't understand. It's like,
well, Classic has been playing for years.
Yeah, but I saw Classic style. It's good, but
Classic is a great player, and
he's going to military.
He went to the finals in Codas Season 1, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he played in the finals against Maru and lost. He's not as good as Maru, but Maru basically flew his games. Maru made it to the round of 8 and played some really weird style and like through his games, and because he was trying to prove a point that there's balance problems in Terra. And he threw his game, so he didn't even make it to the finals. Well, he could have, because the Super Tournament, it's like, oh, it's awesome if you win it. It's a big deal, right? But it's not as big of a deal as winning the Codes tournaments, because the Codes tournaments are A, you're up against all of the pros, and B, it's a much longer tournament. It's double elimination. It's harder to get through the ranks. It takes weeks and weeks. It's a legitimate tournament. That's why they call them like Codes Season 1, Codes Season 2, depending on the year. Like right now, we're going into GSL Codes Season 2, 2019, because it takes a long time to get through these seasons. Also, basically you know who you're playing in advance, right? So it's like the NFL, where you know a week in advance who your player is in these normal tournaments. But in a tournament like the Super Tournament, which basically we just watched, you don't know who you're playing, so you can't prepare for it. You just have to have like generalized strategies that you play against certain races, and it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You just have to go on what knowledge you have of them previously, because you can't prepare specifically for that person. And the reason for that is because you don't know who you're playing, Wow. And sometimes you do know who you're playing, but you literally have one night to prepare for it. Where in the Codes tournaments, you literally have like weeks to prepare, weeks and weeks to prepare for your matches, which is how it should be, because then you study your opponent's current strategies, their old strategies, and you try to figure out a way to beat them. Just like if it was a football team or a hockey team, playing those sports, you look at all the tapes, you try to figure out how to beat the team that you know that you have to play. But the super tournament's not like that. That's why the super tournament, it's not a joke, but it's not as serious as the Code S season tournament.
Well, ready to bet $1 on it? You owe me $1 so far.
Right. Well, we have a week before Code S season 2 starts.
Thunder.
That's not what Psystorm is doing. Psystorm is like, I think it's more like psychic lightning.
It is, but they're also very good against Zerg. I mean, they're like really good against Zerg.
It's good against Zerg. Not usually good against Terran, but it's still okay against Terran.
The reason why he used the Psionic Blast,
but he was clump. Gumia was not microing his units fast enough.
Yeah.
And if you watch a Terran player like Maru, when those storms are coming down, you will see Maru splitting all the units instantly into 3 groups, spreading out, right?
Yeah.
Gumia wasn't doing it. So he was basically using like zero strategy against Psystorm. And there are legitimate Terran strategies against Psystorm. And Gumia wasn't doing them.
Yeah.
He was like literally leaving all his units clumped together.
Yeah,
so the Psystorms could land right on him. Yeah. But if you watch Maru's got a plan. He's ready. All his units are hotkeyed into 3 or 4 hotkeys. The second the first Psystorm hits, boom, dispersed.
Mm-hmm.
They all move. They all disperse, and then he flanks them back around the Zerg, so the Zerg can't target one. Can only target one unit group with the Psystorms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we should start.
There's only 3 people watching. My fear is tonight because of Easter.
That's fine. It's funny thing is that a lot of my videos and stuff or live stream, I get like 200-300. Then later on, like end of the day, I get like 2 to 3K. Use it towards the end of the day. There's always been like that. I just think that people are watching at different times.
Right.
So, are you going to be hosting it, or I'll be starting it?
I mean, you already started it. We're already started. There's nothing to start.
Well,
we're started.
The hosting.
This is not. I mean, we'll just go freeform, just because we don't really have any topics. We don't have any guests. So we'll just go freeform and talk about stuff.
Well, we do.
As far as doing an intro, the way that an intro is done, I just try to explain this to you. You need to have a countdown, and the second that countdown starts, then you do the intro. Then everyone starts talking. We've already been going for over 5 minutes now. So 8 minutes we started. So at this point, I mean, there's not really anyone watching, but at this point, it's kind of too late to do an intro. Everyone knows who we are. I am Grim Monolith. With me tonight. Yes, I love my black hole. With me tonight for the Saturday Night Live Easter edition of the podcast is Lance from the Ashley Lancelot channel and A&L Plays. He is a Let's Player and an all-around expert Minecrafter.
I wish.
And joining us as well for co-host number 2 is Ashley, the Ashley Art Fantasy channel and the Ashley Lancelot channel, and wife of the greatest Minecrafter ever, Lancelot.
I am dead inside.
You are dead inside. And of course, I, Grim Monolith, am an expert Magic the Gathering player, an astronomer who spent way too long in school, and a tournament organizer for several different games, where I have run massively large tournaments for the last decade. So I know a lot about gaming and organizing gaming events, aside from all of the science that I've learned.
I could top that. I was an international world Rubik's Cube judge in the Exploratorium in San Francisco.
Nice. How many contestants?
We had about over 100 contestants. I got a free shirt out of it by judging. Plus
that is incredibly awesome. But I will tell you that the amount of tournaments that I did that were more than 100 people, I could probably not even count. There's so many.
I can count my robotics tournament and UC.
My largest tournament was a Pro Tour qualifier that I ran for Wizards of the Coast for Magic the Gathering, and that must have been about 1,000 people. And I had to rent a hotel for that.
They didn't pay you?
Of course they paid me.
Peanuts?
No, I probably made a bunch of money on that, I'm sure. I don't remember.
A big bag of peanuts.
Yes, it was a big bag of peanuts. And of course, I ran many events, sometimes on a monthly basis, that had more than 100 people, just for Magic the Gathering. I know I ran a ton of Super Smash Brother tournaments, Melee and Smash 4, that were more than 100 people. I think, a lot of the Smash tournaments I ran probably averaged 20 to 40 people, but we had some bigger ones with over 100 people in them. Occasionally we'd get those when the prize pools were higher. We'd have a lot of players that would drive up from New York. I was running those tournaments in New Hampshire near the Massachusetts border. And we'd get people from all over Massachusetts, from all over the rest of New England. We'd get people to drive up from New York because Smash players will travel. Those fighting game tournament players, they really travel. I mean, Magic players travel, but man, oh man, do Smash players travel. Street Fighter players travel as well, not quite as far, but yeah, we used to see players coming, driving 4 hours down from the top of Vermont, which again is still New England, but it's still quite a drive. And then it was about 5 hours. We were, where we were in New Hampshire, is about 5 hours away from New York City. So for the bigger tournaments, we would definitely have people drive up from New York City and New York State and Connecticut to partake in these tournaments. So it was a lot of fun. I did that before I got sick, and I did that for a lot of years while teaching and tutoring as well at the same time.
Ashley looks bored cleaning her nails.
Because I have nothing to say on this because I never did any of this.
Happy Easter, everyone. Hope you have a great Easter Sunday. Hope you throw raw eggs at your neighbors, your friends, your family, and your loved ones.
Okay, so I don't condone that. So don't throw raw eggs at people because it's not particularly nice. You don't really get on people's good side doing that. But what I do condone is doing a good deed for someone, and not even specifically, doing a deed based on a religion. Just be a nice person, everyone. Just do good things.
Don't do pranks.
Yeah, in the Jewish faith, we call it the mitzvot, and the mitzvot is a commandment of God, and basically, it just means do good deeds. That's it. Just try and do good deeds. Basically it means you're not going to be perfect, and we all recognize that, but with that imperfection, you should still strive to try and do good things, and that is what mitzvot means.
But I modified my potato gun with a hopper, so have raw eggs in it. I'll shoot about 60 psi per eggs.
And that's gonna hurt because
I know. Don't throw eggs. I'm just joking around with that thing. Everyone knows my humor and stuff, especially the potty humor and the Minecraft live stream as well. For me, I don't celebrate.
Sure, yeah, the humor is fine on a freeform podcast. I like it. Why not? Why not? Go with it. Because, like I said, you are the master of the Minecraft.
No, I'm not. I saw this.
Oh, come on.
No,
let's talk about this.
Okay, Blue Rose. You saw the building that Blue Rose friend made, right? That made under my nose. Holy crap! I don't know how. It was so close to base. I did not know that she made the base. Didn't know she was in my realm. I don't know what's her name tag, wherever that actually made it in my realm. And if you guys haven't watched it, watch Minecraft, the latest Minecraft before this. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's it's like I can never make it like that. Because I made capsule core, I make Master Roshi's house, I'm making a big tower, it looks like a damn popsicles, but not that. I'm gonna probably make one of the dungeons that's from the Mad Mage, probably the first level one, underground. But that's gonna take me about a week or two to do because I'm gonna try to go by scale.
What, are you just gonna try to do a Dungeons and Dragons Minecraft?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm gonna have to go far away to do that.
Then how would you make the monsters do what you want?
I'll just post a picture of Grim everywhere. He doesn't look. He doesn't. Yes.
Have you seen any of the screenshots of the 4K version of Minecraft?
Yes, I have. But I had to play it on the computer. I will not. Mine will not be in 4K, but it can kind of render
it's not good. So yours might not render in 4K, but that's fine. But you can get pretty good resolution. You can get, your computer will push Minecraft way. Will push Minecraft a lot better than it currently looks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if they up the resolution and
it's on Java, isn't it? Java edition.
It is the Java edition because the code doesn't exist to do that. I shouldn't say that. But right now, I don't think that they can optimize the Xbox Live version to do that.
I think the Xbox made a Java edition for the Xbox One X. I think you can for the mod. I know it's a mod you got to install. I haven't dealt with any of the mods yet on the Java edition.
The Xbox One X.
Yeah, I think you can do it. Yeah,
it can push 4K. Yeah, I could render it in 4K, but the Switch can't.
No, but I was the Java edition. You got to, I was Java edition. I think they should make a Java edition for the Xbox One X. Just so that the Windows and Xbox can play with each other. Because those the people that mods it, those are hardcore people that wants to, like how I mod.
I have a sneeze.
It's like how I mod my Fallout 4 and my Skyrim. I'm actually getting it for the Xbox for next month for my birthday.
What?
The Skyrim Legacy Edition, the Year 1 edition for the Fallout 4 for the Xbox.
Oh, it's the right, Skyrim, what's it called? It's the one with all the DLC.
Legacy Edition.
Yeah, I have that one. Xbox One X is what I play.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Xbox One X. It's just probably by the end of the year when they announce the new consoles, and that it probably dropped down $50 to $100 from then. You want to say?
Maybe. I mean, you can probably get a used Xbox One X.
$300.
$300. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, but
you see it for 300.
Yes, probably if I want for 300, the problem is that I'm waiting for I want a brand new one for 300 because I know the next gen console's coming out next year, and I know probably announce it on the Direct or E3. Sony won't be there.
Probably E3, but Sony's not going to announce it at E3. They're not going to announce the date. Yeah. I mean, we already at E3. They're going to announce the date on their own.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft and Nintendo are going to show a bunch of stuff off at E3. We'll see what they show off. And Microsoft, I think that's where we're going to see the next Xbox. Yeah. That's what
but other than that, it's just, yeah, I'm just waiting because once the console has been announced, the price will drop automatically. Because they need to sell these older consoles because they won't stop making it altogether. They'll make less and less of it down the road. Silas is here. That Lucian guy needs help. Cinder shows gaming is here. Good evening and happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. Have you got an Easter egg from your pack of magic cards?
Hey Cinder, how's it going, buddy?
Okay, Ashley, anything interesting you want to talk about?
Not really.
Okay.
Nothing much has happened.
Well, stuff has definitely happened.
Oh yes, me and Grim doing Netflix and chill the other night when you were asleep.
Oh my God, that is, you are never going to be able to run a podcast with that type of stuff. It's not going to happen. You're going to get demonetized.
Have you watched a drunken podcast? Drunken peasant podcast?
I am not a drunken podcast. I am not drunk. Cinder, do you think I'm drunk? Cinder Shadow, you tell me. Do I sound drunk? I'm not drunk. I'm just tired.
No, but a lot of times to keep the podcast going.
I couldn't even. I mean, there's certain jokes you can make. I don't think that meme is a good one. I think you need to kind of really sit down and figure out what softcore humor is okay. It's definitely okay, and it can.
Potty humor.
I don't know. You really need to sit down and think about which jokes really would go over better than others.
Well, I've been
You
watching.
know he doesn't think, he just spouts out. He doesn't think before he talks.
You know that we've been watching a lot of podcasts. A lot of them were boring because all of it's information. A lot of it could be fun because sometimes it's a joke.
You have to, but people are so easily offended. We live in a culture of outrage, unfortunately, and that's just kind of what it is. Ask Cinder knows. Like me and Cinder talk about it all the time. And me and you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
We live in a stupid culture of outrage where everyone gets pissed off.
Yeah. I'm on the Cinder Shadow Gaming. Please go check him out and everything else as well. We'll love to have you in the podcast.
Just link his channel. Just link his channel.
I will after the stream ends. I will put you down below. Chocolate comes from Magic the Gathering cards now. Oh shit, that must be the best selling set ever. I'm tired. I don't mind having an actual like a chocolate press card of Black Lotus. I'll never eat it. I'll just frame it and put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer for the rest of its life.
Imagine, you know how baseball cards, like when we were kids, Lance, they used to come, and Cinder Shadow, when we were kids, they used to come.
The bubble gum, the hard bubble gum that shape is.
What if they sold chocolate back to the Magic card? I think
it will make money. It will make money though.
Yeah, I think that is Cinder Shadow's channel. I just linked it in the chat, so those who are watching and who watch later, because I know we have a bunch of Minecraft kids that come in and watch the podcast after the fact, because the mommy and daddy won't let them stay up late enough to watch it when it's live.
Also from all over the country too.
That's true. We have people from a lot of other countries that watch, and you know, like Cinder, who's Canadian.
Actually, no. I want to talk about the social warrior crap because the next leading thing will be we'll talk about the continuation of the Sony censorship talk.
Well, no, I kind of had like I said, I was out for Easter all day and wasn't expecting that, or else I would have had the topic list. But I had talked about this to you kind of when on Thursday about the Capcom situation. Yeah. We still have not gotten an answer from Capcom or from the head of the FB Alpha development team. And for everyone watching, this is what's going on. Okay, so there's a Capcom arcade stick that's coming out. And by the way, it looks completely stupid. It says it's shaped in the letters of Capcom, and the buttons are like see-through. So it's a terrible design. But I forget the name of the manufacturer of the actual arcade sticks, but it's one of the higher valued ones, or I should say one of the higher quality ones. So, you know, the thing's going to be $200 or $250, which is a lot of money. But you know what? Those arcade sticks are a lot of money. So, like when you go out and buy fighting sticks, I mean, some of them are upwards of $500. So, but anyway, it comes with 16 games. Anyway, the 16 games are okay. They're not bad games. But the controversy is that they're using an emulator for the games that is called FB Alpha, and they even say that basically it's powered by FB Alpha emulation, right? But FB Alpha, which is an open source emulator, okay, that was actually built on MAME. So they used portions of MAME to build FB Alpha. No, that's fine because MAME's open source. MAME is the multi-user arcade emulator, for those who don't know. And FB Alpha is the Capcom emulator that emulates the first two series of Capcom motherboards that they made most of the games on. But anyway, they're using FB Alpha on this product, and they're selling the product. The FB Alpha end user license says that you can't make money or sell this product. So they're and okay, yes, for those who are in the know, this is not the first time FB Alpha has found itself, and MAME has found itself in consumer retail products. It's not the first time, but you know it's not supposed to be. So a lot of people started asking questions, and then the head of the development team for LP Alpha, and there's a lot of developers that work on these projects, remember, because they're all over the world, they're open source, they're all working for free. The head of the developer said, "Oh, I licensed out FB Alpha to Capcom to use on this device." But according to the the licensing for the FB Alpha, which was written 18 years ago, or 15 years ago, I think, by the original programmer of the FB Alpha, who's not on the development team anymore, but that doesn't matter. And it basically said, no, you cannot use this for monetary gain. You cannot. This is an open source emulator. And a lot of people, including a very famous YouTuber, semi-famous, named Modern Vintage Gamer, and he's in England, and he does a lot of work on emulators and modding hardware and all this other stuff, right? He works a lot on this stuff. And he was just involved in another controversy with Nintendo, by the way, but that's a whole other subject that we'll get to right after we talk about this, because I know, Lance, you want to talk about the Nintendo situation and the modders. But anyway, to kind of finish up, people said, and this includes the other developers on the FB Alpha emulation team, they were basically like, what do you mean you licensed it out? The license, the end user agreement for this particular piece of software says you can't do that. And then Capcom and the head developer went silent and have yet to respond to that.
Yeah, going to comments, Cinder Gaming.
Talking about
the build of the device itself.
He's talking about the higher end fighting sticks, and yeah, I mean, so true, right, Cinder? They cost $50 to build, and they sell for like $500.
I have to build a cabinet for. He wants a cabinet. Just need money to get the materials. I have the skills. I have the skills. I just need the money, and I'll buy the materials for you, and I'll charge you for work.
Well, you can get, so X Arcade makes a hell of a stick, and they also sell cabinets, and you can get it as like a kit, and it doesn't come with well, actually, they'll sell you the cabinet, a 32-inch TV to go in the cabinet, and the X Arcade sticks. And you can get an X Arcade stick that also has a trackball in it for, like, good old trackball games like Centipede, Millipede, and whatnot. And those are full height cabinets. And I think the whole kit. And remember, this doesn't include the computer or or the device to run MAME. And I'm pretty sure you've got to have a computer, because the X Arcade stick is built to use emulators on Windows. But they have a version of all of these emulators and all these ROMs and ISOs for Windows. And I think the whole kit's like $500. Cinder, I think the whole kit's like $500. So if you go and look on X Arcade's website, you'll see it, and it's pretty damn cool. You get a full upright cabinet, and you can put whatever decals you want on it. You can use a Raspberry Pi, but if you want to go with something that's going to run, Saturn games better and possibly up to PS2 games, then you're going to want some sort of gaming PC. A Raspberry Pi really kind of tops out at running Saturn games. And by the way, Cinder Shadow, there's Post-Apocalyptic Gamer is not here tonight, but he knows a couple single board computer chip projects that are so much faster than a Raspberry Pi. I'll tell you what the problem with
NVIDIA Tegra chip that's beta that's coming out.
There's a new one coming out based on the Tegra X1, and the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus is so old. I don't suggest anyone buying it. That thing was built in like 2013. Like, it is ancient technology at this point, and I haven't heard anything from Raspberry about updating it, but there's a project out there to build a single board computer that is the same size as a Raspberry Pi. That probably costs around $100, but it's going to use a Tegra X1, and it's going to have the similar functionality to an NVIDIA Shield. And they've already built a back end for it that can run RetroPie. So there you go. So basically, when this thing is more available, you buy this, you get RetroPie, the same back end that's going to run on the Raspberry Pi. You dump all your emulators on it, and there you go. I think it's a pretty cool device. I would go with I'd go with the i7 though, because you're gonna get more functionality out of using a Windows PC, and I don't know what the level of functionality between the X Arcade stick and RetroPie is. I'm sure that RetroPie supports the X Arcade stick, but it's probably a little better to have a gaming PC in that cabinet. But the cabinets are awesome. I'd love to have one of those cabinets. I put 10,000 games on it. Literally, I have all the ROMs and all the emulators. I have everything already downloaded. I have ISOs for other systems. I got everything ready to go. I need the money just to get the cabinet and the stick, and I'd definitely get the stick with the trackball. So anyway, it's a big thing there. The FB Alpha emulator being used outside of its licensing agreement, and Capcom basically making a profit off an open source emulator instead of building their own. So I don't know. I don't know where to go from there with it, other than to say that it's pretty crappy of them.
Yeah, Carl's right. Everyone just wants money. I want money too.
No, Carl said everyone just needs money.
Yeah, I know.
It's more than want. People need money to survive, but yeah, it's hard to get.
It is just the concept that was once built around. Now they're not supposed to capitalize, but they are now. Old Sabertooth X80, X58 motherboard and i7 chipset is in it that I would use just collecting dust. I will use convert put that in the cabinet that you're gonna make and basically get whatever you need to do. You say you need a stick, so hopefully you'll be able to save enough money to get that. Always need money, so these just needs to get rich first, or sell shirts for women like Rudy.
And by Rudy, he's talking about Alpha Investments.
I have no idea who they are.
Oh my God! Well, the Alpha Investments is a very, very large Magic the Gathering finance channel run by a gentleman who was a multi-millionaire.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to.
So another thing, something that we were talking about that you wanted to talk about was what Nintendo's doing and how Nintendo is basically going through YouTube videos and shutting everyone down that is modding the Switch. So if you have any videos up talking about or showing how to mod a Switch,
but before
Nintendo would strike your channel.
But before that, I want to talk about the social justice and what you're talking YouTube, because I want to actually have more of a spotlight. She hasn't get much of the spotlight in the past few weeks. If that's okay with you, Grim.
All right, but those are things, definitely. All right, I'll talk to you later about it. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, after that we'll talk about the Nintendo, because because we decided to talk about continuation of the Sony and stuff for the Social Justice Warrior and what's happening. We read the comments and everything. It's gonna be very quick, so like within 4 or 5 minutes, I'll have a little couple minutes, then we'll go to Nintendo right there. Basically, I think Ashley put more. I know, people look at men and basically says we don't know anything about a lot of these things and about what games and everything else it is, but I want to have a female perspective in this more towards, because most of the time it's just me or Grim Monolith talking about it. A lot of time it's not getting to a lot of people because we are basically, men are considered as chauvinistic pigs and so on as well. Misogynistic pigs.
We are misogynistic pigs.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna have Ashley have a few minutes talking about them. We'll move to Nintendo as well. Yeah, it's all up to you, Ashley. You have the power and the calm.
Now my mind's blank.
No, like, what do you think about the social justice warrior and stuff that's happening, attacking the gaming industry? Now they're attacked because they've been attacked, but they attack movie industries a lot less, but they attack more in video games. What do you think about that? About these things?
They attacked my game. They attacked my Devil May Cry.
Yeah. But come on, Ashley, you don't be selfish. You want me to put the photo, put the video on me while you talk about it?
Mhm.
Okay.
So Ashley, I did watch the video. You guys did a response to you and Lance did a response together to the Wall Street Journal article.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think in general? What do you think about Sony's assertions, or their claims to why they believe they need the censorship? And if you need a quick reminder, they blame the Me Too movement.
And SJW and Americans in general.
They blamed American, I should say, North American / European kind of. They didn't call it outrage culture. I'm going to call it outrage culture. They blamed that, and they claimed that they didn't want to open their company up to possible lawsuits. That was another claim they made, and the final claim they made, which, well, not really a claim, but a statement saying, we want our games to be healthy and not hinder the development of young people. But
that's what rated E games are for kids.
Yeah, so exactly. Go into it. Tell us, because you're on to exactly what the problem is.
Rated E games, they were like Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is like rated E, isn't it?
Yes, Kingdom Hearts is rated E.
If that's for kids, kids can go play that. That's a fun game for kids to go play.
Right, they're referring. The articles. Let me read what Cinder has. It says the SJWs are some of the worst. They are overreaching. Censorship is not helping anyone. If you want to change the world, then they need to learn how to code. Yeah, I mean, there you go. How to code. That is a huge. Learn how to code.
Most of
that is a huge meme, by the way.
Aren't even gamers.
Cinder Shadow, I wonder if you're also referring to the meme "Learn How to Code." But yeah, I mean, there you go, right? I mean,
leave my rated M games alone.
Yeah, they're rated M for a reason. They say 17+, and our games are 18 and up only. They're rated that for a reason.
I don't even buy rated R games. I only buy rated M. I've never even seen a rated R game in my life.
Rated R is rated M.
No. Oh, no. What are you talking about?
Talk about adult games, Lance.
Yeah, like M17 and R are not the same. R would be a game that has
sexual content.
Sexual content that it would be considered pornography.
We have it, actually. We just never played it. We don't have...
Because they're in Japanese.
Not only that, I don't have a Windows 95 computer like Grim does. That he's using right now to stream with us.
That's a, I'm using a Windows 7 computer right now. So heck you, and you're making fun of my heckin' Windows 7 computer. Cinder, back me up on this, buddy. Windows 7's better than Windows 7.
Windows XP is better than Windows 10 and 7.
No, it isn't.
7 is a hell of a lot better. I mean, Windows XP is a hell of a lot better than 7. Because it has a floppy disk drive and everything else. You know what? I can probably grab the box. I don't know where to actually put it.
What?
And look at the requirements on the back of it. The shuffle, not the shuffle, the other one. That has the floppy disks, like 6 or 8 floppy disks in there.
For what program? What are you talking
about? For that rated R game.
Oh, for your R game, right.
He has hentai games.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 is better than 10. XP is better than both of those.
XP is not better, and I'll tell you why. Because it does not have a driver infrastructure to use a lot of the new peripherals, where 7 actually does. So new peripherals that are coming out now, a lot of them, I should say even most of them, have Windows 7 drivers and still support Windows 7. So if you want any type of new hardware, Lance, no. XP is not good. XP is
Who's I want new hardware? I want to go back when I was a child.
That would be 95.
No, that would be... Was it 95 then Windows NT, then 98, or was it Windows
NT? Windows NT came out with Windows 95, yes.
My first Windows was Windows 95.
In fact, Windows NT, the first version of Windows NT came out before Windows 95.
Yeah, I had Windows NT. I think I had before Windows NT.
Which would be Windows 3.11, Windows for Workgroups.
Yeah.
Which is the Windows that was out before Windows NT. Windows NT then came out and replaced that, but only on the server side. And then Windows 95, which was a hybrid absolute mess of 16 and 32-bit code, because Microsoft had yet to go to a full 32-bit operating system, and Microsoft did not go to a full 32-bit operating system until Windows XP came out, and of course they did not go to a true 64-bit architecture for operating systems until Windows 7 came out, because Vista was still a hybrid mess.
Vista sucked.
Restore myself to an earlier state. Okay, Cinder Shadow King.
Absolutely. I think, Lance, you should do that.
You know how people
Just polymorph. I polymorph you to a child, Lancelot.
You know, one of those midlife. Everyone's gonna have like their midlife crisis. Like some guys buy cars or motorcycle. For me, it'd be like an older PC. Like, oh, look at this 8-bit graphics. Oh yes, it feels so good.
I have a 486. I have a Pentium 3. So I have these computers and they're functioning. I just don't have them hooked up.
Yeah.
No reason to.
Yeah, but
they're cool to play with and look at.
Yeah, but also it's like, like for me, for my midlife crisis, I'll probably be in Japan buying as much anime figurine as possible and go to every single maid cafe as I can, or I flirt with girls when Ashley's not around.
Cinder Shadow wants a Mac and have the Great Waz sign it.
I'll go to host clubs, Lance.
That's the thing, Shadow. I don't think Wozniak would sign a Mac. Remember, Wozniak was against the Macintosh. Wozniak is one of the original founders of Apple.
Wozniak and
Steve Wozniak worked on the Apple II. And when Steve Jobs was actually pushing the original Mac and the Mac II in 1984, Wozniak was trying to get everyone to buy the Apple II GS. And the Apple II GS was the 16-bit version of the Apple IIe, the updated version of it, which the GS stood for graphics and sound. And the 2GS had a 16-bit CPU in it, which was completely backwards compatible with the 6502, which is the CPU that was in the Apple IIe. And by the way, also in the Commodore 64, but different. Everything else was different, so they weren't compatible software. But the Apple II GS ran everything the Apple IIe did, and I for one, I had an Apple II GS when it came out. I grew up on that computer, and that was a computer that Wozniak tried to push, and then he left Apple and never really talked to Steve Jobs again. I don't know, maybe they were friends later in life, but Wozniak never worked for Apple again. But I'll tell you what the great thing Wozniak did was he was able to, in the late 70s, he was able to build a floppy disk drive for very cheap parts, off the shelf parts, where disk drives were super expensive, more than the damn computers. And that's why all the computers were running off of tape drives, because the floppy drives were so expensive. But Wozniak literally built a floppy drive using off-the-shelf parts basically out of a Radio Shack, and he got this thing to work. And that's why Apple was able to mass produce floppy drives with very minimal controller boards, where companies like Commodore and the Commodore 64 and the VIC-20, when they built their floppy drives, they literally had to use 6502 CPUs in the floppy drives as controller boards. The same CPU that was actually running the computer, which was why the damn things were so expensive. So the Commodore 64 floppy drives, wow, they were a lot of money at first. They came down over time, but yeah, Wozniak, man, he figured out how to build microcomputers using just generic off-the-shelf parts. So he was a freaking genius. He was a genius. That's my rant on.
Yeah, last week we talked about Nintendo, about modding and stuff like that. We'll go more, a little bit more depth, not too long about it, because we actually talked about the last week. Watched this podcast from last week. Basically, the Nintendo's going around to YouTubers' content, I think the website as well, so that having to take it down so that you will not be able to mod the Switch, showing how people mod the Switch, or to do things that Nintendo don't want you to do. I know that you talked about that in Massachusetts. They passed a law in the podcast that you can actually fix and repair on your own without the consent of the parent.
So right to repair and modding are two different subjects. Which one did you want to touch on?
We can do both, just very quickly.
Well, tell me which one to go first on.
Well, talk about the right to repair and the differences between
the right to repair is really more of a problem with Apple than Nintendo. I don't know if there's.
We were talking about that.
Yeah, I don't
remember talking about
this is a problem that's been happening with Apple for years now. And the right of repair is basically the right of a third party repair person or repair company repairing a product that's developed and built by someone else. And this has been a long debate in the automotive industry, where a lot of the big automotive companies have basically over decades and decades tried to get mechanics shut down and force customers to have to basically take their cars to authorized dealerships to get fixed. And we all know that authorized dealerships are insanely expensive compared to going being your car to a mechanic. You had to take it to the dealership. And there's been a lot of pushback and a lot of protest to that. And this is something that Apple's doing. Apple doesn't want other people repairing their products. Apple, first off, makes it very difficult to repair their products. They basically build them to be crap, and they build them to be disposable, so that if it breaks, they tell you got to throw it away and make a new one. They make it very difficult to repair their products in the first place, and they've been caught in lies about repair on their products. Meaning they've told people that certain things are not repairable that are repairable, that third-party repair places and third-party repairers can repair. They tell customers that data retrieval on certain devices that weren't backed up to the cloud is absolutely impossible, when all that's not true. It is quite possible, and a lot of these third-party repair places have proven it's possible. But when Apple finds these third-party repair places, they basically ban them from being able to get on Apple forums. They say, "Oh, you mean you're calling us out for telling us we were lying, even though we weren't?" Banned, gone, see ya. This is happening. And there's a lot of YouTube channels that talk about Apple repair. And Apple is doing the same thing that the automotive industry tried to do for years and decades. And I think that it's not really happening as much in the automotive industry anymore.
Someone threw a crab at the winner of Smash Brothers tourney.
I haven't read about that. I don't know much about that.
Well, if it's cooked and it's delicious, I'll eat it.
Exactly. Cinder, do type some more about that. I'd like to know. But to finish what I was saying about Nintendo and the right to repair, so Apple would love to be able to pass some regulation or something that basically makes it illegal for a place to charge you to repair their products. But, states like Massachusetts, because this hasn't been done on a federal level, but states like Massachusetts and California, in response to the automotive community, have moved to pass laws called the right of repair, which means they're protecting the right of a customer to go to, and they're protecting the rights of a company to repair someone else's product, and protecting the right of a customer to be able to go to that person to get the repairs made, so that the company that built the product, owns the product, can't prosecute anyone for doing that.
And now the difference between modding and modding the Switch, basically, So
we all know that the Switch was released with some hardware problems that made it so that it was easily moddable by screwing with the USB port. And it's a hardware problem, and it's a hardware problem that was caused because the Switch is all off-the-shelf parts. The Switch, nothing in the Switch was designed to be a Switch. It was just a bunch of parts Nintendo basically picked off a shelf, just like Wozniak would have, and they put this thing together. And that's what it is. So, they never tested every possible hardware fault the thing could have. So yes, it has a hardware fault. But, I don't know if they did some changes to the BIOS or maybe manufactured it out, but they might have. But that's still, there's still a lot of the originally produced Switches that have the problem. And a lot of people have taken advantage of this, basically jailbreaking the Switch. Using this method by basically like short-circuiting the USB. I'd have to look up the specifics. I'm sorry.
Well, basically they're using different softwares and everything else. Basically.
Well, but they're also doing something to it hardware-wise to trick the BIOS to letting the software basically run a jail. But what Nintendo has done is they're making a run on YouTube, and any channel that talks about or shows how to do any of this to the Switch is getting takedown. It's getting takedown notices from YouTube. Good. So that's it. That's the story.
Yeah, for me is that if you buy a product however you want, with it because I jailbroke a PSP and the Vita and put like tons of emulator games into the damn thing, into the 32 gig hard drive, SD card that acted as your hard drive, but it's one of, and then Sony keep updating the PSP, the PS Vita, and tricking people to update it manually so they can kick the people off from basically having the emulator or jailbreaking your PSP or PS Vita. But back in the days,
they don't update the PSP anymore. They might still do Vita updates, but
yeah, they haven't done it yet. But I used to have like over 1,000 games on the damn thing. Sony guys, Hunger Box on Twitch had his crab tossed at him. Okay, that's good to know. Hey Ching. Basically, I believe that if you buy a product and stuff, long as you're not taking Nintendo software, because the key bread is the software. Nintendo software on the Switch it's garbage. Online service is garbage, so I'm not worried about that. But you can do wherever you want. You bought the damn thing, and you can break it open and stuff like that. It's like on the Wii console for the lithium battery. I have to replace it soon. I gotta buy it from a third party to get a battery for it, and I gotta open it up and stuff like that because of the manufacturing warranty that comes with it. It's already passed the manufacturing warranty for it.
Nintendo will still replace the battery.
Oh, for free?
No, you just send it to them and pay.
Yeah,
you have to pay for a battery from a third-party seller. I'd be real careful about putting a third-party battery in the Switch because we all saw what happened with the third-party docks. The same docks that Nintendo themselves okayed because those were all authorized dealers of Nintendo peripherals, like Mad Catz, right? But the Mad Catz docks were bricking the Switches, and yeah, I guess Nintendo wouldn't.
I'm not sure.
There's a class action lawsuit against Nintendo over the third party docks bricking the Switches, but Nintendo did say, I have to say, Nintendo did say, yes, it's an authorized dock, but you're still buying it at your own risk. It's not a first party dock. So therefore, we don't guarantee that it works.
Yeah, well, I'm still
It work that way. Essentially, it does work that way because you can take the damn thing and do whatever you want with it. No one's ever going to know. But out in the open, it doesn't work that way because I'm sure you know that the licensing agreements that you essentially agree to by buying a product and starting to use it, and all of these licensing agreements do exist. Nintendo says you can't modify the hardware.
I'm not modified anyways.
It's illegal. What you're doing is illegal. I'm not saying you're wrong for doing it, but Nintendo does have some right to strike those videos down. Do I think that they should? I don't. I don't think it's consumer friendly. I don't think it's goodwill. And who cares about a handful of people that are going to mod their Switches? It's not like this is something that's going to happen, over millions and millions of people. I mean, come on. They've sold how many of these damn things? 30, 40 million of them? And how many are going to get modded? 50,000 of them? Oh no. Nintendo.
And you already
watch
sold,
out.
and you already sold
the modders are coming for you, Nintendo. They're going to kill.
They're already slowly catching up. They already passed the Xbox One sales. Now they're catching up to the PS4.
They're also going to surpass the PS4 sales in Japan.
Yeah, and it's like you're making the money and stuff. It's like every terms and agreement, even the software and the apps that you download on your computer and stuff's like, long as you don't long as you don't screw around with their software, it should be fine. The hardware, it's basically yours.
No, you can't. No, that's not. Where did you get that from? I'm just asking.
No,
that's
for iTunes, there's one of the license agreements I saw before. They went to
well, iTunes is a piece of software. It's not hardware.
Well, I know, I'm saying the software. As long as you don't mess around with their software, it should be fine.
Right. Well, with Nintendo, with Nintendo, you're not supposed to mess. They don't want anyone touching the software or the hardware.
People, because it's one of those things like Apple doesn't like their freaking stuff touched by authorized dealers.
Right.
How
many authorized dealers are out there? Apple's really stopped giving people authorized dealer status.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. They don't want authorized dealers. No. The only authorized dealer they have is Best Buy.
Yeah, it's like also the problem is that it's like there's a lot of people that has some kind of computer degree or a engineering degree or electrical degree, or a lot of people that's basically fix things by like breaking and fixing at the same time, researching it. And you have people in the background don't really need the actual thing. Only way you really need a certification is if you're fixing someone else's stuff that is not yours, and you're liable for it in a point. If I have a broken, let's say a broken key or a broken monitor, and I have it, and I buy another broken Apple that has a working screen and the keys for it, I just take that apart and replace the ones that I have with all my stuff in it. I can do that.
That's called donor. So basically, you're buying a donor board or a donor computer.
Yeah, because
the donor computer is the computer that you're taking parts from to fix the other computer, because the company that produces the computer, Apple, is not actually providing the parts to repair it. Mm-hmm. So basically, you're getting them from donor computers, donor boards, donor keyboards, donor this, donor that. But that's what you're talking about.
Because I used to be
as far as certificates are involved, yes and no. I agree and disagree with you. If I'm going to someone to get something repaired and I lie to them about a certificate, well, that's one thing. Yeah. You can't do that.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
If I don't advertise I have a certificate and they don't ask, I haven't done anything wrong. I have not done anything. No, I am not. I'm not liable.
No. If you have a business and you work in a computer, if you don't have an A+ certification, you cannot touch another person's computer for using business and stuff.
What law is that? Where's that law?
Well, in California, you can't.
Well, I don't know. I guess California you can't, but I know that is not a federal law, and that is certainly not a law in Massachusetts.
Well, yeah, but still, it's one of those business protection things. Especially if I have my own business, the computer repair shop, and
anyone can sue anyone they want. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you I have an A+ certification, and maybe I do. Then I go repair your computer, and I burn it out, and then I say, sorry, I burned out your computer. See you later. Yeah, you can sue me for that. You can sue me if I have an A+ certification, or if I don't have an A+ certification.
Yeah, but also
at the same time, if I lied to you and said I had one, well, that's another ground to sue me on, and actually maybe other legal ramifications.
No, because the A+ certification is basically if you want to work like behind the Best Buy table.
Without going through what A+ is, we could sit here for all night.
We'll talk another time then.
Yeah, but we could go through what certifications are. But I'm telling you right now that if I post on Craigslist saying, "Hey everyone, I know computer hardware. I have an engineering degree from college. I don't have any certifications, but I can fix your computer," and you call me and you say, "Yeah, come fix my computer," and I come and fix your computer and I screwed up, or I don't screw up and I fix it, I'm no more or less liable than if I had a certification, because I can certainly, if I don't lie to you, I can certainly fix your computer. You can hire me to fix your computer. I don't need an A+ certification to fix anything.
No, but this helps. Like, say,
Well, sure, it helps because it looks good.
No, it doesn't look good. You also get with the
training. Yeah, it does.
If you are working like for those tech geeks at Best Buy, you need to
they require you to have it.
You can work it because they want you're trained to do it. You know how to fix it. So if you don't, you lie your way. You also lost a job, and you got to pay X amount, X and Y for it. But if you have the certification, and then you have the knowledge of it, then you have a very lower chance of screwing up what you're doing.
I hate to use Geek Squad as an example. I've heard horror stories of them hiring people that don't have A+ certifications. Mm-hmm. I've heard horror stories of people at the Geek Squad and the Genius Bar at Apple having no freaking clue what they're doing, even though they make us kind of believe that all these people have all these certifications and have passed all of these quote-unquote tests to get in the positions they're in, but yet so many of them have no idea what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so hard to trust people, even if they do have A+ certification.
And when I had a business, I have A plus, and I have a couple other certifications to work on servers and networks. And I had to go to San Francisco, different hotels where everything underneath of their building, and their building's made out of brick and concrete. So I had to get a certain certification to basically drill about 100-foot down into the ground and snake Cat 5 cables down to a very old basement that feels like it needs to be like filled up with sand. So I had to have that certification and proof to verify, because I was LLC, so that these hotel companies basically hire me to work and compete against other people. There's also help as well. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, that's where the certification.
If you're going to Craigslist and having someone to fix your computer, you have a 90% chance that guy is going to steal your shit, or copy your shit from your hard drive, or he will destroy your computer.
Could be. I mean, if you get someone off Craigslist, just ask them, hey, do you have any certifications?
So yeah, I'll fix your computer for some rocks. You got some special rocks for me?
And buying for contracts, like with the hotels and everything, like you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have these certifications, you're not going to get those jobs. No, those companies aren't going to hire you.
No. I did freelancing after my company went down.
Especially if you want, especially if you're freelancing. Like if you're freelancing and you have all those certifications. You can still probably pick up. You can still probably pick up jobs. You basically have your resume ready for anyone, and you say, hey, look, here's my resume. Look at all my certifications, and I can prove them all. I have them all, and I have them to prove at the ready. I
don't know. I gotta look at my certification. I have a certification that
they all run out, by the way.
No, I only got in the military for like 3 years from now, so it still might be good for another 2 years. I gotta look at the certifications. Every state is different too, but I got mine in military. I have a lot of military certification. There is one certification that I know that not a lot of people have. My dad has one. I got a hazmat certification, basically work with biohazards and stuff.
Well, I don't want to touch any biohazards.
No, so, but it is one.
If the zombie plague apocalypse happens, Mr. Lancelot, I will call you to make sure that you can secure my home from biohazard.
It's basically wearing a
biohazard infestation.
It's basically wearing a hazmat suit, and basically any kind of hazardous spill that's happened in the building or anything else like that, you gotta go and assert and basically neutralize the waste and contain it.
Right.
That's basic.
So you're basically saying you're a cleanup man.
Basically, yeah, but you need to be very careful, because a lot of the stuff that you work in the military are depleted uranium.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the C word, depleted uranium can help you get it.
Yeah. Not only that.
By C word, I don't mean Coca-Cola, guys.
Or cocaine.
Or cocaine. I don't mean cocaine either.
You mean cancer?
Yes, that is what we're talking about.
Well, marriage also could cause you cancer too.
What can?
Guy.
Let's see here. Let's see what it says. Shit, I need to go check out some. Okay, that's something from Live Memes. Live Memes for you, because you requested it, Grim. You requested Live Memes from Cinder Shadow Gaming. I think we have.
What's the next topic?
The next topic is, what's your favorite anime? Yeah.
Mine?
Yeah. What's your favorite anime? You only got one. You have to pick one. One. Oh my God, this is hard.
Housing Ultimate. That's my favorite.
What?
I know what yours is. It's Betty Boop, isn't it?
Betty Boop?
Or Felix the Cat.
Those are old American cartoons.
Yeah, his favorite's Astro Boy.
Oh, I love this Astro Boy, especially that CGI one from a couple years ago. Brilliant.
Yeah, mine is Heaven Lost Property.
Haven't lost property, huh?
Mm.
Well, I'm gonna tell you mine, and I don't think it might not be the greatest anime ever, but I enjoyed it a ton. Um, and yes, I have my picks from when I was a little kid, which are different, but I'm not. I'm just gonna pick one from more recent years, not from the last decade, but right before the last decade, and that is Gundam 00. I loved Gundam 00.
Okay.
To me, Gundam 00 is so superior to all of the Gundams that came after it, and Gundam 00 came out in 2007 and 2008. Actually, I think 2008 the high def version of it came out, because that's around the time when they started re-rendering everything in 1080p. Because when
they got the collector edition out for it.
Yeah, when 00 came out originally, it wasn't in 1080p, but they did re-render. They did re-render it in Blu-ray on Blu-ray. But I loved that. You know why? Because I don't know. It was awesome. I loved the characters, and not just because Gundam 00 actually uses like real Earth as its story, where the other Gundams take place on fake Earths, meaning Earths that are completely different, and they're like in an alternate universe. But Gundam 00 actually was supposed to take place on our Earth, and it had our geography on it, and it dealt.
What about Gundam Wing? Gundam Wing seemed pretty relatively to the same Earth.
Gundam Wing was not on this. Gundam Wing was not on this Earth though. It was a different Earth. It was an alternate. It was a parallel universe. Yes. There was no.
Very similar though.
But there was no like United States. There was no China. There was no Europe in Gundam 00, and all of those countries. I'm sorry, in Gundam Wing. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Because all of those countries do exist in Gundam 00, and Gundam 00 had all of the real countries in it. So all
didn't G Gundam have all the real countries too?
G Gundam did, but G Gundam is a. Oh, I don't even want to talk about that.
It was.
Oh my god. Let's start here. I don't even want to give my opinion on G Gundam.
I didn't like
Gundam
it.
Was terrible.
I didn't like it, but my brother loves it.
It was so bad. So bad.
There's no policy. You're walking. It just doesn't make sense. It's like you're in a VR system, kind of.
Yeah.
Supreme Dingo.
How about that?
It's like, how do you go from Gundam Wing? How do you go from Gundam Wing to G Gundam? How do you do that?
By replacing your riders and having them be awful. Because although Gundam Wing wasn't based on real Earth, it was still a great story. Gundam Wing was still a great story. And, the thing is where, Gundam Wing still has a lot of that 1980s, 1990s anime feel to it. Like pre-modern anime, it's hard to explain, you know what I mean? It still feels very pre-modern anime, where Gundam 00 definitely takes place like in the modern age of doing anime. And another anime that kind of, you know what I mean? By how the feeling of it is like very 80s still. Mm-hmm. And just how they produced it. It's very retro feeling if you look at it now.
Because Gundam Wing was early 90s, and so it still had the 80s style. Yeah,
still had the 80s style. But aside from that, it was a great story. It was a great series, one of the best Gundams. I actually put it at my second favorite Gundam. But it's still, to me,
it's my favorite Gundam because it's my childhood.
And yeah, I mean, it's my favorite robot shows from when I was a kid was actually Grandizer, but I digress because that's from like 1979. So, I'll give that one to you. Wing was a great story. I just happen to enjoy 00 a lot more because
I never saw 00.
It feels a lot more modern.
The newest Gundam I've seen, and it's still from the early 2000s, is Gundam Seed. Gundam Seed.
You see both versions, Seed and the second one?
They're bad. It's bad.
I mean, Gundam Seed it's better than G.
Yeah, it's better than G.
I mean, sure. I understand. But another great, I thought was great anime that came out not long after Gundam Seed was Code Geass.
I love Code Geass. I love Code Geass.
I did not know. Did Clamp do? I didn't think I saw it on their list, but did they do the manga as well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I know they were hired to do the artwork for the anime.
Did you watch the live action of Code Geass? That was also terrible.
I never saw a live action. I didn't know it existed. Is it dubbed?
It's in French.
It's in French. What?
Well, Code Geass is technically kind of Frenchish.
Well, right. It takes place in France.
Yeah.
The story takes place in France.
Yeah.
Hope you love reading it, because I know you love reading it. It's not dubbed in English.
Well, I saw the live action Star Blazer movie. I don't mind watching a full length feature film subbed. I just don't want to watch 24 episodes of an anime stuff. But I'll watch a full length feature film, definitely. And when the Star Blazers live action came out, I was so excited for it because Star Blazers was one of my childhood. I loved Star Blazers as a kid.
You gotta be careful with live action because they also do live action TV shows of animes, and some of them are really bad. They did a live action Sailor Moon, and that was bad.
2 live action of 2 different Japanese American version of Death Book. That was horrible.
Death Note.
Death Note. Because there was a Japanese version of it, and then there was the Netflix version of it. I have to say, some of the actors though really fit the part, especially in the Japanese version. Even though so I'm going to say it right now. Look, both the Japanese and the American live-action interpretation of Death Note were bad. Both of them.
They can't compete with the manga. I never saw the anime. I've only read
the
manga.
The anime was good. I enjoyed the anime.
I've only read the manga.
You can watch the anime on Netflix. On there.
Is it on there? Yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Okay, next topic.
I don't have any off the top of my head because, like I said,
it's
out all day and unfortunately couldn't prepare.
Well, it's almost.
Throw something at me. Throw something at me.
I'm throwing something at you. Let me finish talking, Grim. Just joking.
Throw something at me. Come on, hit me with it.
Okay, I got a raw egg right here in my hand. A raw egg. It's called a Game Boy. But I gotta find more parts to fix. It works. I just gotta replace the screen for it.
They sell incredibly awesome backlit replacement screens for those off of eBay.
Yeah, but I want the original screen for it. I have a second. I have a second Game Boy. I'm gonna modify myself.
Just buy, as we call it again, buy a donor Game Boy. Or just buy another one that works because there's so many of those on eBay.
It's like $40, but the broken parts are a lot cheaper. They're like $1 a piece. But you can make multiple Game Boys and sell them for $20, $30 as well on eBay.
There you go. It's like a little business.
Like Japan at a thrift store. I always buy, like Ashley knows. I buy a crap load of broken consoles and I buy a whole bunch of stuff. And she's like, "You're never gonna use it." When the PS3 went up, I opened the donor PS3, took the parts that I need, tested it with a multimeter, and I basically replaced it.
How you want to come into my room and sell some of my figurines for money?
You mean 90% of the figurines that we own right now are mine, and you just took it and put it on your shelf?
The Devil May Cry is mine.
Question for off camera. Hit me with the question.
We need to do a science question because it's science time now. Science question. We were talking more about parallel universes.
Sure, let's talk
Gundam. So we can talk more about parallel universe while I relieve myself. It's all on you.
What? You're not giving me a question.
Yeah, parallel universe, like Gundam and stuff. Explain to us about parallel universe.
That's a very vague thing. Parallel universe is a universe that's alternate to our own.
There's not enough info on it, Lance.
Yeah. Is there a way for us to go through it? Is there a way we can experience it?
They say there's like
deja vu from other people doing it.
They say that there's like little rips here and there, but if you go through it, I doubt you're coming back.
Hey, yeah, that could be a very, very unfortunate truth, right? Hey, talking about parallel universes and referring to that there are people out there that think that there's rips and rifts and all these types of gateways that we may be able to find to get to a parallel universe. But what if like we already can see parallel universes? What if they're all around us? It's just that our brains have evolved to have mechanics to filter out things that don't fit into sort of a logical scheme of cause and effect. Because look, cause and effect in quantum mechanics, we've already proven, is actually not an actual concept. And cause and effect seems to be a concept that our brains have manufactured to make sense of the universe around us. But let's say that these filters that basically make us interpret everything around us in a cause and effect type of structure. Let's say these filters don't function anymore. We might then believe we're seeing things around us that no one else sees. We might then believe that we're a person that we're not, right? We might believe that possibly we were someone in a last life because memories that were separated that might have belonged to two different people, two different universes, are now intersecting into one universe because the brain itself is no longer filtering them out. Let's say we hear things that others might not hear around us because the things that we're hearing are not from this particular universe, but from another universe. But the average person, the person around us, the normal, quote unquote, normal person, can't hear them because their brain filters them out. Again, what if we evolved to have these filters to basically weed out these glitches in reality that we see around us? These glitches that are formed simply because universes are not so separate from each other, but merge in and out of each other at all instances, at all times. But again, we have a structure in our brain that is putting all of the events around us into a cause and effect structure to make us believe that there is only one concrete universe. But if we see and hear things that others might not, if we think that we're another person, if we have memories that maybe weren't originally ours or are completely new to us, what do we call people that say that they experience these things in our society? Because people do experience these things in our society, but we have a name for them. Several names, actually, but what's a general term, Ashley?
Some people call them psychics.
Or mental illness.
Schizophrenics,
multiple personality disorder,
bipolar,
borderline personality disorder. I mean, the sky's the limit. Let's break out the DSM-5, the psychological diagnostic manual that the American Psychological Society uses to write their definition of what mental illness is. And I say their definition because it's a bunch of people sitting around saying, oh, I went to school for 10 years and I'm going to decide that this is what this mental illness means. And anyway, I'm not saying that they're always wrong. I'm just saying that it's still a group of people's opinions.
When if a schizophrenic's actually seeing something that's there, it's just you can't. It's just
that you can't see it because your brain filters it out, where their brain doesn't. Because the quote unquote the filters again that are meant to create a logical cause and effect universe for us to make sense of don't exist.
People say they see monsters, but we don't know if the monsters are actually there or not.
What if H.P. Lovecraft was right? What if we're sitting right on top of another universe that's full of floating eyeball monsters
and Cthulhu
I want succubus
that can't directly interact.
Well, succubus is going to eat you, so why would you want it?
At least I'll die with great pleasure.
Well, then I'll be free. I'll thank it.
Oh, shot down.
That's fine. At least
you know what, Lance? You're gonna wake up tomorrow morning and you're gonna walk in the bathroom and there's gonna be all sorts of strange symbols written across the wall.
Oh, don't worry.
Some summoning circle in the middle, and you're gonna and Ashley's gonna be coming out of the bathroom and have like all this weird makeup all over. And he's like, "What are you doing, Ashley?" Oh, nothing, Lance. Oh, nothing. I'm not conjuring. Let's go to bed. and wake up and see the present I'll have in your gaming room for you.
Well, you know what will happen? I just say, okay, I gotta make poop brownie, and the whole thing just disappears. It's poisonous. It's
Who
evil.
says it's gonna be on the toilet?
Huh? No, I'll be on the toilet. Well, everyone just disperse and leaves. But yeah, it's always, guys, this is like a short podcast. It's Easter.
It's short. So, one final question, Lance. I just went through a whole thing about parallel universes and mental illness.
Yeah.
It was a really good rant. I think it was a really good rant. What do you think, Ashley? What do you
I think it was good.
Yeah, it was. We basically just crapped all over psychologists and psychologists and psychiatrists, which was great. Because it's always good to crap on them because they need to be crapped on because they're all full of themselves.
Oh, we talked about that privately, but that's for another time.
Well, we were talking about in regards to mental illnesses as
Like schizophrenics. A lot of schizophrenics have been
universe.
known to see monsters and stuff. Like, how do we know
And
it's not there, that they're not actually seeing something?
Right, something that we can't see because our brains are filtering out what they're seeing, but they're actually seeing something in another universe that's interacting with our universe.
They say that the schizophrenics hurt themselves, but how do we know it's not the things that they're seeing that's hurting them?
That's a good question. We don't. And you know what? All of these psychiatrists and the American Psychological Psychiatrists Association and all these doctors that wrote the DSM-5, the diagnostic psychological diagnostic manual, version number 5, which is what we're on right now. You know what? They're going to call us crazy for suggesting such things and saying we're doing no good. And I say that half the stuff they do is no good. That's
what do they do besides prescribe medicine that kills people?
Like the medication they just gave me.
Yes, medication.
Yes.
All right, so throw one last question at me, Lance. Come on, one last one.
Okay.
One I can answer quick.
While you look at the screen, do you like that middle row right there between those two boxes? On the top and the bottom, we're gonna put a special one just for Grim. It'll be made by At Games.
Son of a bitch! You already have a thing that's dead to me on that shelf that needs to be smashed immediately. You know what? I'm gonna take my replica of Milmir and I am going to destroy that DS classic. I'm going to turn it into very small bits of motherboard and plastic casing, and then I'm gonna burn it. I'm gonna burn it for good measure.
You know what? I think if I move it, I think I have it. Oh yeah. Another one you hate so much. You can see in the top, next to the Batman Neverwinter Nights box. Who do you see between
blurry,
them?
Lance. It's blurry.
Oh, it's Darth Vader.
I like Darth Vader. Darth Vader was a great character.
I know, but he's Star Wars. Oh, yeah, Star Wars. So what do you think about Palpatine coming back?
He's good Star Wars. What I think about Palpatine, the first thing that comes to mind, and I guess this will be the kind of last thing we talk about, is that if you bring, I don't know how they're going to write it, but the first thing that comes to my mind is, wait a second, you're bringing Palpatine back? Well, that ruins the whole Anakin Skywalker story arc, right? Because what is the original Star Wars about? Is it about Luke? Is it about Leia? No. It's really about the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker. That's how I see it. That's how I feel about it. It's about Anakin Skywalker, rising from a Jedi to a Sith and coming back to the Jedi. So what act was it that redeemed? Yeah, the act that redeemed Anakin Skywalker.
He killed him protecting his son.
Yeah, that brought him back to the light. To the Force, I shouldn't say.
How do you kill? How do you bring someone who was wasn't he chopped in half or something?
Well, if you read the books, and they are not canon, there are some stuff that is canon in the comics. I actually looked and researched.
All the new Marvel comics are canon.
I saw some of them. On the way I can see it, he could actually possess another person by putting.
It also could be clones.
But the clones aren't canon. The only way so far
from the Clone War.
Yeah,
Palpatine cloned there is a canon. There is a story where Palpatine cloned himself in the Clone War.
Yeah, but the problem is that it's not canon with Disney.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's Clone War.
Oh, okay.
Clone War.
All right, because the books that came with the Clone War back in the days, because Palpatine cloned to his younger self multiple times, and Luke Skywalker
That's
towards
not.
the end finally killed him.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that's not canon. Yeah, you're right.
Because he has to transfer his essence to a clone. The one that's right now that's in the comics, I still do have.
I'm not saying that they can't write it somehow so that it works.
Yeah, they can.
My first impression is, well, you just
throw everything down the drain.
You just threw the redemption of Anakin Skywalker down the drain. What are you doing, J.J. Abrams? You're supposed to be fixing Ryan Johnson's mess.
Well, we won't know until we watch it.
So, all right. So you go ahead, Lance.
Well, because back then, and if you ever watched the Clone War cartoons, the 3D cartoons one, when Yoda went in, and I forgot it was Darth Raven, I believe, that he manifests itself in like a sports, like it's like a Force Ghost, but they forced themselves into an object, and if you wear that object, they can actually corrupt your whole body and possess your body.
That's true.
So that's one way Palpatine that I know may able to come back, but with that laughter and stuff will not match with a human body, unless it's fantasy. So anything can happen. Oh, Tremors coming back.
What?
Yeah.
Tremors, they're making other Tremors. So
Kevin Bacon.
Is Kevin Bacon going to be in it? Because he was in the original.
Yeah, he is Kevin Bacon. He's like really when they're saying that Tremors, are gone, but Kevin Bacon is like delusional that they're not gone, they're back. What would you be in this hellhole and stuff like that? Then Tremors and they started coming back.
The last Tremors they did took place like in Alaska.
Yeah,
with the daughter of the character Kevin Bacon plays.
Do you guys remember the Tremors television series that Sci-Fi tried to
I remember bits and pieces. I remember it being bad.
But then again, any series that the Sci-Fi channel starts, don't watch it because it's going to be canceled. They literally cancel every single show. Every single show. Sci-Fi does not keep anything in production. And there's a reason for that. And it's beyond, it's a reason that's more than ratings. And we can talk about that sometime as well.
Yeah, it was something later on. Oh yeah, so Kevin. So basically, I think they're doing what they did with Leprechaun Returns. They basically cut all the movies in the middle, and the Leprechaun Return is number 2, after the original. Because that's how I feel like the trailer is.
So this next Tremors is going to be after 3.
After 1.
Well,
whatever happens in the middle, it's done.
So they're basically pulling a Terminator where they keep making a new movie and saying the other movies didn't exist.
Yeah, basically.
So number 2 didn't exist, but number 2 is what made the Shriekers and stuff.
Yeah. There's basically there's no Shriekers. There's so far right now they're just Tremors because
Graboids.
Yeah, Graboids. Yeah. So far that I know, but they're making it. Trailers out.
They did that with the last Terminator movie, Terminator Genesis. They basically said that Terminator. They actually said Terminator 2 didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So Terminator 2 was a crazy good movie, one of the best science fiction movies.
It was good. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I don't think it's just good. I think it's a master. It's a James Cameron masterpiece. One of the best.
Didn't James Cameron did Aliens?
James Cameron did Aliens. Did the second one.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
James Cameron did Aliens. I mean, James Cameron has done 2 of the highest. James Cameron did the highest. Is the person behind the highest grossing movie of all time, which is Avatar, and he was also the one that did Titanic, which used
Avatar,
to be.
You mean the blue people?
Yeah, that's James.
I like that movie.
I did not like Avatar.
I liked it.
Well, guess what? That he's got 4 more of them in production. So you got a lot of hating to do.
No, I don't hate it.
They're making it number 2. They're making it number 2. I want to see it.
No, they're not just making it number 2. They wrote scripts for 5 Avatar movies, and yes, they are making all 5.
Well, it's a big gap between the first and the second one.
In fact, Avatar 2 and 3 have already been done. They're already done filming Avatar 2 and 3, and they are in post. They are in edit right now, and they're going to begin shooting Avatar.
So does that mean Avatar 2 comes out next year?
Avatar 2 does come out next year. I'll get the dates. Hold on, let me get the dates quick for the Avatar movies.
I just did not like Avatar.
I liked it.
We have the movie. I just didn't like it.
I
know what movie that Grim likes to watch over and over. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action movie.
It's okay.
That movie sucked. Oh my god, that movie
sucked.
The
live action movie? No, yeah. I couldn't watch the whole thing.
I never seen the live action, but I love the cartoon.
You know that they just butchered it. Oh my lord, they butchered
it.
So
let me guess, they took Sokka's comedy away.
No, I do have the dates for you. So Avatar began production in April 2016. The release dates. Oh, these are wrong. So the release dates are Avatar 2 will be 2020. Avatar 3 will be 2022. Avatar 4 will be 2023. And Avatar 5 will be 2025. Those are the release dates.
They're pretty close to each other. So that's...
Yeah, so Avatar 2 is done. And yeah, we should start getting trailers soon.
I'm excited for the
exciting Avatar times.
I'm excited for the Child's Play movie coming out in June.
I mean, that does look pretty good.
It's going to be different from the original one, though. They're not going with the whole serial killer guy thing. And the voodoo.
What about the voodoo stuff?
Yeah, they're not going with that. I think because it's controversy or something. For nowadays.
Let's check your Discord server. Something's happening on your Discord server.
I already kicked Lucian out.
They keep going at everyone for the stupidest thing.
Like what?
They're doing some weird spamming on there.
Yeah, it's
basically face image.
Yeah, but he's saying at everyone. I warned him last time, and then he's kicked. He's gone. He's gone.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that off stream and get that taken care of. But anyway, it is 11 o'clock, and we are going to end early on this fine Easter night. Thank you, everyone that is in chat.
So what movie are we watching, Grim?
Was in chat, and we'll watch this after the fact. Thank you for coming to another edition of Sunday Night Live vodcast, not podcast, but that's fine. And maybe next week, Lance will have some far more specific questions about parallel universes for me to answer, and not just talk about parallel universes, because that's a little vague. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll come up with a lot more topics for next week, and hopefully we will have some guests on, such as having post-apocalyptic game back, and maybe some other new interesting people. So from me, Lance, and Ashley, signing off, and have a good night.
Good night, guys. Yep. Everything in the link down below. Subscribe, like, and share. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.